Hey kids, gather round! It's time for another story from Uncle Russ. This time, it's about how he chased a 1% higher dividend yield and missed out on a 77% better return. But this is specifically about my 401k, not my total investment portfolio, because that is a whole different story. But this 401k matters because it's where we have the bulk of our investment net worth, and it's where I get free money from my employer matching. Hey, what's up? I'm Russ. I hope this video finds you well. Remember, I am just a welder sharing my passion for passive income, and I also have a free and fantabulous newsletter and a Seeking Alpha affiliate link. Those things can be found in the description below. Now, where were we in our story? Yes. In March of 2021, I changed companies and rolled my old 401k over from American Funds to John Hancock, where there were much better options. But I guess Uncle Russ still had a few lessons to learn, because I went chasing dividends in my retirement account. And in a 401k, dividends get reinvested anyway, so they weren't even anywhere close to hitting my pocket. First, I want to explain the three funds because details matter. First up, from Dimensional Funds is ticker DFUSX, and this is pretty much a copy of the S&P 500, and it tracks America's 500 largest companies with a 0.08% expense ratio and a current yield of about 1.19%. Next up, from Vanguard, ticker VVIAX, and this one focuses on large US companies in slower growth sectors that might be temporarily undervalued. It has a super low expense ratio of 0.05%, and similar funds average about 0.88%. And VVIAX has a yield of about 2.19%. And the third and smallest mutual fund that we hold from Fidelity is ticker FSMDX. Now, this is Fidelity's mid-cap index, and it tracks medium-sized US companies, and it has an itty-bitty teeny-tiny 0.025 expense ratio. So for every $10,000 invested, you'll pay about $2.50 every year. And this was my portfolio allocation. I had 71% in VVIAX, 24% in DFUSX, and 5% in the Fidelity Midcap Index Fund. This chart hurts to look at. Yeah, we don't know the future, but check out, since March of 2021, DFUSX, which we'll call DFUSX, basically matching the S&P 500, which is VOO, returned 65.99% on a total return basis, while the higher yielding VVIAX returned 55.42%. All that for an extra 1% in dividend yield, which shows how focusing on dividend yield alone can sometimes lead you down the wrong path. Now, as of this recording yesterday, I hit the reset button. I'm putting 60% DFUSX, which is my core growth engine, 30% VVIAX, which is keeping some value stocks, I think, as a nice stabilizer, and at 10% FSMDX, which I think is my mid-cap rocket fuel position. Warren Buffett has been preaching this bet on America for years, that most people should buy the market through low-cost index funds, and he's even instructed his trustees to put 90% of his wife's inheritance in an S&P 500 fund. And now check out these thoughts from the one and only, dearly departed, and now member of the eminent dead, Charlie Munger, on the S&P 500.
I recognize the logic of the fact that S&P algorithm is very hard to beat. In a diversified portfolio of big companies, it's all but impossible for most people.
Like Charlie said, it's really difficult to beat when you own the S&P 500 and you literally own pieces of 500 of the biggest companies in the United States, of which some are value stocks and some are growth stocks. Some pay dividends and some reinvest everything. But the index automatically adjusts as the market changes, and there's no overthinking required. But as I like to say, when you invest in an index fund, you don't really learn anything about investing, so I still enjoy the challenge of researching, locating, and investing in individual stocks. But as I've been sharing on the channel, I am going to keep that to a certain percentage. More on that to come. But at almost 48 years old, as of this recording, I've got about 2 decades ahead of me before I can start withdrawing any of that 401k money penalty free. I hope that we see some big market crashes along the way. Apologies to any of those of you that are in retirement. But when you have 20 plus years of investing horizon ahead of you, stock market crashes really give those of us that do have that long time horizon a fantastic opportunity to get some really great businesses at lower prices, so we have a much higher total return potential ahead of us. But the key, I think, is having a plan and sticking to it, and the cheat code that has gotten us to almost 90% of the way to being net worth millionaires really has just been to automate whenever you can your investing and saving decisions. So not only did I rebalance our existing money, but I also set all future contributions, both mine and my employer's match, to this same 60-30-10 split. Look, I'm a welder that loves investing and has a particular passion for passive income, and I'm just sharing here on the channel what I've learned. But in our 401k, we're usually limited to specific funds anyways, so I think the key is picking the simplest, lowest cost options that match your investing timeline. And sometimes, like Uncle Russ shares, the best strategy is admitting when you need a reset. And if you would like to see what our updated overall investment net worth portfolio allocations are going to be going forward, click this floating little box right next to my head. And hey, if you do that, I'll talk to you and see you and tell you all about it there.